Well, hello everybody. Hello, beautiful planet Earth. That's always makes me so excited because we can connect around the globe these days, right? That's why I called my show weekly a show Intimacy with the World, because now we can show up and anybody who's interested can watch this, right? So I just wanted to remind you, I see somebody's joining us. So the Facebook doesn't show me who's joining. So you're welcome to say hi so I can see who you are there and say where you're from. And then you're welcome to get engaged in the conversation. This is interactive show. Share your emoji, likes, hearts, make comments, and I always come back to you on the comments. Sometimes I can answer your questions right away during the show. So the more energy you put here, the more you benefit yourself, and also we create this collective support system on the energetic level for each other, so we can all grow in our wisdom, consciousness, and practical application of this wisdom. So today is a very exciting topic, and especially for those ones who already know me, you know what I'm talking about, right? And the name of the topic today is the power of the feminine archetype, right? The main focus of this topic is to celebrate how different we are, right? We're powerful, more than women, and we're all different. That is why, I want to emphasize that there is no universal formula of how things work. Hi, Demi. The topic is, I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, if you write more, I can get what you're asking. So, got distracted. So I will talk about the archetypes. Some of you who know me, you know that I created the approach with feminine archetype, and I created a quiz that you can take and discover what is your dominant innate archetype, feminine archetype, that actually brings all the truth about you and how you personally connect with life. Because we know there are so many spiritual teachings, there are different trainings of personal development, psycho-spiritual practices, there are lots of teachers, lots of writers, wise people, right? But hey, David, so nice to see you. Thank you for watching my show. But when we try, we like these teachings, we read those books, we watch videos, we connect with, certain quotes, but then we have hard time to apply them in our life, and it just doesn't work. For example, the biggest example, everybody these days is familiar, at least familiar with the law of attraction, like Abraham Hicks, right? Some of you probably know a lot about it. You know that's one of the biggest and the most powerful universal laws, that when we start to connect with that and start to apply this connection with this universal law of attraction in our life, then we can manifest things. And it's a big thing right now. However, when you start applying this in your life, many times it just doesn't work. And you wonder, especially if you've done lots of inner work, you wonder why does it work? Do I get it wrong? If something is wrong with me that I can't manifest. Like you see other women and men too, you can see they create what they want, their desires are being fulfilled, their dreams come true, and you're just wondering why it doesn't happen for you, right? So the reason for that, I see, is that we're trying to use one universal formula for everybody, and we're not taking into consideration the different innate differences of who we are and how we are personally wired into this reality, right? So that's why I created these 4 fundamental different feminine archetypes. And you know, if you're a man, you can see those traits as well in the man. So it's like a mirror reflection on the opposite side as women. So you can see those traits as well. And the main focus and the main goal of creating this approach is to honor our differences, right? And beforehand discovering, accepting and owning your archetype and how different you are from others. So something that works for others wouldn't work for you because you're just wired differently to this reality, to life and relationship with others, right? So this is, I believe it is big because the way our modern society functions, first is like very, very masculine structure. So they impose like formulas of success, how to become this and that, you know, how to make lots of money, how to be happy in the relationship. And it's all the same formula for everybody. Well, it can't work this way because we are different. And this formula can only fit people who really represent that particular archetype that makes that formula work, right? So I'm really excited to dive deeper into this topic and share with you more information about that today. So as you know, I've already made a few videos about the archetypes that I created that I believe represent each woman. I believe everybody is included. I haven't heard, you know, hundreds of women took this test, took this quiz. I've got enormous positive feedback that it's very spot on, that it's very precise, and the tips that I provide about relationship patterns and even some tips about our relationship with success and money, that tips are also very, very valuable. So some of you took the quiz and you know your archetype and resonated with you. Some of you didn't. So after this live show, I will provide the link for those ones who didn't take the quiz, right? You might become really curious about it. So I just want to remind you what are those archetypes, and then we'll dive deeper of how different they are and how differently they are connected to life, and why universal formula doesn't work for everybody, right? So there are, according to my approach, there are 4 fundamental feminine archetypes, and it's more like representing certain energy. Amazon woman, right? This strong, independent woman, and her empowered archetype, when she really owns it, when she really embraces her nature and essence, that's the queen, right? And it is very, very popular archetype in the modern world, and everybody speaks that you should like do everything like queen, create your business like queen, show up in your relationship like queen. It is very popular archetype, but it's just one of them, right? So if you represent that archetype, it is easier for you to adapt in the modern, like Western culture, because also besides on the individual level we have those archetypes, but also each culture represents and welcomes and supports different archetypes. Right? Let's go through them. So Amazon woman, empowered archetype, the queen. La femme fatale and the empowered archetype, the goddess. Good girl and the empowered archetype, the great mother. And the mystic archetype, somebody who is always kind of feels like outside and a non-belonging one. And the empowered archetype is Hight Priestess. So there are 4 of them. Right? And you can read more about it. Don't worry if you've watched for the first time. You can find more information about them on my website and the group. I will mention that. So also, as I said, different cultures support different archetypes, and they because we live in certain culture, we want to adapt and to feel home and to feel accepted and succeed, you know, within that cultural and social structures. So if, as I said in in modern Western world, it's the Amazon woman archetype, right? The Woman movie, the feminist movement. You know, it's the archetype of the strong, independent woman who is the leader, who is the like in charge of her life. You know, she's taking action, and that's the queen. Now, if you look back into history and the more traditional cultures, it's a good girl archetype. The good housewife, the good wife, taking care of her husband, with her children. The family is the main priority. And all these good qualities like big heart, doing things for others, giving, she's the giver. So that is the good girl. And the empowered archetype, when she really owns it, if it is yours by nature and you own it, then you represent the great mother archetype. Right? And it is also very beautiful, but many times, because like women grew up in more traditional societies, they were not born this way. They didn't want to be housewives. They didn't want just to have like many children and just to take care of the husband. But the pressure from the society was so big that they had to betray who they are by nature and just dedicate themselves just to, you know, house and the family and all these duties. So you see how much culture affects us and how we, you know, jump into the role that is not, it's not our sole purpose, and it's not who we are, but we're trying to adapt. So that's a big thing, and I will talk more about that. Now, if you look like more like in the Latin cultures and more, if you go south, you can see that it's more celebrative, more connective culture, and it's more flirty, right? There's more like this energy circulates between people. There's more flirt going on between men and women. So that's La Femme Fatale archetype, or the goddess. So she knows how to attract a man. She's very flirty. She's very seductive. You know, all these things are being in those cultures. They are welcomed and they are celebrated. So if you grew up in that culture, you probably felt, even if it's not your original nature, maybe you felt like you need to adapt part of it so you fit in and feel good in that environment, right? So we see how much society affects us as well. Now let's see how we feel when we betray that innate archetype that we're born with, right? We all born we have certain qualities when we are born, starting from our birth and even before, maybe in the mother's womb. We already have that code inside of us, almost like on a genetic level, on the soul level, karmic, whatever you call it. And this is who we are, and this is also connected with our soul purpose and our gifts that we can bring into the world, like to live our soul purpose and to become accepted and successful with that. And also it affects tremendously our relationship with men, because then we can create authentic and deep relationship based on our truth, not pretending to be somebody we are not playing games, right? And that creates lots of mess when we betray our own nature, when we betray our own essence of who we are, right? And let's go through this. How does it feel to betray that true essence and that archetype that you represent, that energy, you know, of yours? So what are the signs of this betrayal? What happens? If you feel stuck for a long time in certain areas of your life, that's one of the signs. That's something that you're trying to use as external formula, but not embracing who you are, right? Not accepting your innate archetype. Now, if you follow the rules and all the techniques and, you know, educational stuff that you learn, and you're trying to apply it in your real life, whether it's like your business, your career, maybe you work on your relationship, and it just doesn't work for you. Nothing changes, and the harder you work, the worse it becomes. Now, if you're not happy with your relationship and also like trying and nothing changes, and you find yourself in the same pattern, If you feel like you're giving in a lot in different areas of your life, if you don't receive what you truly desire, or if you're completely disconnected from your desires, like some women, they can't even formulate what they truly desire. They can't separate like external stimulation of this society that is based on market and like competition and consumption from what is that they really want inside them, their soul, right? If you feel like you're disappointed with life, like you felt like there is so much more available when you were young, and once you get older you feel more and more disappointed and frustrated, and I know so many of us feel this way, right? But it doesn't need to be this way. If you forgot how to be playful and how to enjoy yourself and have fun, that's a big sign that you're betraying something within yourself. And now let me give you some examples, because the best way to connect something with life, certain like teaching approaches, blah, 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 when we actually give real life examples. And I start with myself because I did betray my archetype a lot. I couldn't fit in, and I represent the mystic archetype. So my empowered archetype is a Hight Priestess. So I'm born to bring the connection. Like recently, I posted I made the pose like I'm a bridge. I'm a bridge between masculine and feminine. I'm a bridge between material and spiritual. I'm a bridge between individual and collective. So I bring that essence, and I have what happens to me, like I constantly receive these divine downloads that don't come from books. They don't come from, university degrees. They're not external knowledge, but I receive lots of those downloads, right? And before, I was like that since a very early childhood, and I had certain psychic, how you call it, these psychic abilities, like, I could see what happened, like I would just, like children, they're just saying that. And then I kind of shut it down because it was not really well accepted by adults, and in that environment I was living, like, shut up, how do you know, like I was kind of predicting stuff and seeing the energies, and I felt, oh, that's useless, that's dangerous, and can be punished for that. So I kind of shut that down. So I did have those downloads always. So the first cycle of my self-betrayal, and it was not even my fault, it was because of the environment I was growing up. I was started to play like good girl archetype, and like because my parents wanted me to behave, and I was kind of a wild kid, I was really like strong-willed, knew what I want, like really that power. So I shut it down, and I was trying to do what they say. I was trying to be a good girl. I was trying to obey, tell them what they want to hear, otherwise they will punish you. So I was playing that role of good girl. It was like disgusting. Like I had really bad memories about that time because I just couldn't be myself, and I became this ghost or like a shadow of myself, and was like, yeah, I was A grade student, but I was super shy, always in the corner. Nobody remembered me from my everybody remembered my mother because she was the queen, right? So that was the time I was going through betraying myself and my mystic archetype. Then at some point I was fed up with the good girl. I knew that I don't have much of that by nature. I'm more wild. I do have that, the heart piece that I care about people and being empath. That's kind of what connects me with this archetype, but that's not who I really am. I'm wired differently. That's not my values. So I rebelled at some point, like kind of late in my when I was like 19, 20, 21. That was like big transition for me. I started to do what I really want. I started to look for fun and enjoyment, and I started to embrace this Amazon woman archetype. I've said I'm not going to be in traditional relationship where women are submissive and, you know, or like even like flirty, too girly. Like, no, like it was like denial of all these things, and even denial of my feminine nature, because I felt like it's so much cooler to be a man, you know, it's so much cooler to be courageous and action oriented. And I started to do skydiving and different extreme sports. So, and then I became stuck with that piece integrated. The queen, the Amazon woman, the strong independent woman, knows what she wants and she gets that. I manifested lots of success in my business and my social life, right? I was more visible. I kind of became fun to be with. People started to like me, and I made lots of friends among those crazy skydivers and, you know, crazy people, the wild people, and I was like really having fun with that. So that was another like transition, integrating something that part of me. But then that mystic piece was still not integrated, right? It was still hidden underneath, you know. It was like it was more like I kept it for myself. I knew that it was there. I was always, you know, reaching out to that depth and just spending time on my own, but it was not integrated in terms of my soul purpose and also my relationship with man. I was craving this deep intimacy and spiritual intimacy beforehand, like exploring each other on the level of this on the soul level, and I could never find it. Like I couldn't find even a role model in other people's relationship to find that. So I thought it was impossible, right? So then later going through, so I was very successful and I had like money and I had fun, but there was still this deep longing that something is missing, that I want more. Is that always what is available? So at some point I started this my journey, my spiritual journey of how to find something more than that in terms of my externalizing of who I am, living my life purpose, being in that high priesthood and claiming it and connecting with external world this way, and also in my relationship with men. So, and now I feel I integrated this piece, and it was not easy because mystic is the hardest piece to integrate, because you can hardly find the society that just supports the mystics, right? So it's like you have to claim it, you have to stand. It's like a shaman, like it's like somebody who is like connects, lives in between two worlds. So it is all in every society. Mystic is an outsider, so it is a challenge to claim your belonging. It's a challenge to claim yourself in the environment and, you know, kind of have your role and be accepted by others. So that was a challenging journey, and I'm still on that journey, you know, deepening and expanding. Now another example is my client, one of my clients, and I have a few clients who represent the goddess archetype, and this is my god. This archetype women, it's just so powerful. We forget, like, because of this cultural and social conditioning, we forget that the goddess is the most amazing, the most powerful feminine archetype, because she represents this pure femininity. Yes, and I will give you an example about one of my clients who represents this goddess archetype, and she knows it, and she embraced she integrated certain pieces of that. So she attracts lots of men, of course. She attracts lots of attention. She likes to be in the center of attention and attraction as well. So it's like she's in the middle and people admiring her. She is the muse. She's the one who inspired famous writers, artists, painters to create all these masterpieces. So she's the one who just is. She doesn't need to give back anything in exchange of what people offer her. So the people bring offerings to the goddess. They bring gifts, right, for her, because for who she is. She doesn't need to do any kind of action to give back, because her energy, being in her power, is already a gift to the world. It's a gift to a man who is with her, right? It's a gift to the people who are around her. When she becomes powerful, when she, like la femme fatale, that woman who like plays around and flirts and seduces men, when she embodies that power in full potential, she becomes the goddess, right? She knows it and she owns it. She doesn't need to do much. It's more like allowing and relaxing into that essence. So, but because, you know, like if you live like in Western countries, the culture is very different because of the feminist movement and because of masculine structures that dominating in our societies. This archetype is not recognized. This archetype is not supported, and many times maybe it's criticized and disrespected because, you know, now everybody wants to be a strong woman, right? You have to be independent, to make your own decision. And it doesn't mean that if you are the goddess archetype, you don't have that power. It's actually even easier for you. You don't need to work hard. Oops, low battery. It's a completely different approach and completely different like how you're wired to reality. So the goddess, when she is in her power, she's the best receiver. She mastered this receiving piece. So she's receiving gifts and offerings without guilt or shame, or she's not apologizing for that. And she knows that she deserves this. She knows that this is who she is. This is how it should be, right? So what I see, like one of my clients, I have a few clients who embody this archetype, and they struggle to kind of overcome these obstacles of how to become independent and free and powerful woman as an Amazon type, as a queen, but they are not by nature. So that's why it feels hard for them, especially with the money piece, right? The goddess cannot make money the same way as Amazon woman does, or queen. It's a completely different way. She doesn't need to create lots of masculine structures and schedules. It just doesn't work. It's against her nature. Like I saw one of my clients trying to do this masculine for her business. She wanted to develop business. She was trying to develop all these masculine structures and schedule, and it's so hard for her because this education that is providing how to succeed in the modern world doesn't recognize that it's possible to do it differently. So it is designed for man or for the queen who has no problem with schedule or structure, right? So, but the goddess can create enormous success, enormous abundance. She can thrive and have love and money, but it's a very, very, very different way of creating that and manifesting that. Then many times women who supported financially by men, they feel they feel guilty about it. They blame themselves, or I shouldn't depend on men. I should make my own money. But that is not important. That is also imposed by culture, by modern culture, because women were manipulated and oppressed for so many centuries. We want to have that freedom, and it's totally fine. But there is nothing wrong if you are in a relationship and the man supports you financially, if you have that balance and exchange. He is feeding on your muse energy, right? He's feeding on of who you are and what you create around you, what kind of vibe, what kind of atmosphere. Like if you create this deep transformational intimate spaces where man can come back from work and relax and feels emotionally safe, and you can support him on that different deep level, this is enormous. And if you can inspire him to do great things in the world, this is enormous, and you don't need to feel guilty that he gives you money. This is wrong. This comes from the conditioning and bullshit of our culture as well. So there's nothing wrong with that. However, of course, there are ways for the goddess to make her own money and thrive. She just doesn't need to do the masculine. She needs somebody else to do it for her and allow that to happen. She might attract some sponsors who will sponsor her gifts, talents. She's good with art, you know. She's everything that's creative. She's good with that, and she can thrive, and she can become a famous artist who just creates her art. And there are other people who sell the art, right? So there are different ways. If we don't block that, and we don't shame and blame that part of ourselves that actually is real and true and authentic, and this is who we are. It's just because the culture doesn't even offer any other options. So that's what I wanted to share for today. And of course there is so much more I can share with you, because this is the work of my life, and I know it can help, and I can see how women suddenly wake up to their true essence and their power. Is like, wow, I was struggling so much and trying to become somebody else and succeed from that place, but that didn't work, and now I understand why. See what happens? So if you are interested to get more out of this, and if you're interested to discover, understand and claim your true essence, true power, your true innate archetype of who you are, why you're here, how you connect with everything, how you connect with men, you can dive deeper with that, right? You can take my quiz if you haven't taken it yet, to discover your archetype. And then you can also join my group. I will put all the links after I finish this live show. You can join my group, the Intimate Universe Awakening of the Empowered Feminine. So I will be sharing a lot about the archetypes and working with archetypes inside the group. So it's only for women. So it's kind of more like a safer, deeper container for our work and connection. And also you can check my program that I created about feminine empowerment and relationship with men, and all the benefits you can receive when you embody your true power, true essence, right? That authenticity that you might be hiding right now because you don't connect with the values of the society or the culture. You can check my program, and if you're interested in working privately with me, we can book a call and we can discuss the details about that. So I'm really excited. It was so exciting to share all these insights with you, all this information, and I wish you a great Friday and a great weekend, and I will talk to you next week on Friday. Bye-bye.